All right, everybody, how's it going? Good Sunday morning. Happy Easter. We are in the home stretch now. There's not a whole lot of ground to cover here. Just a few more draft primers, and we will be home free, ready to just talk about what we should do, talk about the potential paths. We'll have familiarized ourselves with many players of interest in we'll have completed that process in just a couple of days. So, yesterday we did strong safety, today we're doing free safety. And for me, the free safety position on this team is in a very similar position as the strong safety position is. We have a locked in guaranteed starter in Quandre Diggs, and Quandre Diggs is great. Quandre Diggs did great things for us ever since we traded for him. He deserved to get the $40 million that he got. I don't know if he's going to be worth that to this team, but there's no doubt in my mind he is worth that in general. So you've got that spot covered. You can't spend a significant resource on the position in this draft with him aboard. However, I am thinking about that backup free safety spot. You got Marquise Blair, who at this point, question mark, I don't even know if he's going to be ready for the season. I think he will be, but at this point, after two massive injuries, you don't know what he's going to be. Ryan Neal, I don't really think he'd do well as a free safety. You've got Josh Jones. You've got guys like I've talked about Tanner Muse before. I think he's more of a strong safety, but you've got assorted guys who hung around the practice squad last year who could be the guy. But as of right now, if you ask me who our backup free safety is, I wouldn't be able to answer with a ton of confidence. So even though Diggs is pretty well locked in for the next two seasons and he's a very good player, I do want to consider the possibility of spending some kind of draft capital on a free safety. Now, once again, we are talking day 3 here for the most part. I don't think we can spend a day 2 pick on a free safety under any circumstance, really. It would be very hard to justify that. I think that maybe if you were looking at Diggs as a 1-year commitment, maybe, but more than likely you are looking at a 2-year commitment. I can't spend a second round or even a third round pick on a free safety with the plan being to leave him on the bench for 2 years. But if you're drafting a guy in the 4th round or later, or picking him up in UDFA, then they can sit for a couple years, maybe even sit indefinitely, and it's fine. So with that in mind, let's start taking a look at some free safety prospects. This first guy is one of those guys who's probably going to be gone before we have the opportunity to consider it. But if he slips a little bit, the door is open. So first guy is Nick Cross of Maryland. I believe they are the Terrapins. 6'1", 215 pounds, very good 40 time, 4.34. Had 3 productive seasons at Maryland, particularly 2021, 66 tackles, 3.5 for loss, 3 sacks, so fairly active on the blitz, 3 picks, 2 passes defensed, and 2 forced fumbles. ESPN has him in the 2nd, but every other big board I found had him in the 3rd. So he looks to be like a mid to late 3rd round guy. If he slips into the 4th, then I think the Seahawks should strongly consider spending a 4th round pick on a safety, as weird as that sounds like it would be right now. Nick Cross, I like him a lot as a prospect. He's big for a free safety. Not huge, but he's big. Great athlete, great straight line speed, and great ability to change direction, great ability to keep up with other good athletes in the open field. Scheme diverse. You can do a bunch of different things with a Nick Cross, and I think he'll be able to do well. You can play him as the last line of defense, covering the stuff deep down the field. You can play him as more of a man guy. He can come up and do some man stuff on tight ends. I think whatever kind of defense you're running, Nick Cross can help. He can be effective dropping back or coming up into the box. So Nick Cross, he's one of those guys who is very versatile as a safety. Could do strong safety stuff, could do free safety stuff. He does actually have a little bit of experience basically playing linebacker for Maryland. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be able to play linebacker in the NFL. That's silly. But I do think that he will be able to bring some of that skill set to the NFL in an effective way. So Nick Cross would be It would be a little bit painful to use a fourth round pick on a safety, but he's a guy I think it would be worth it for. Now, there are some issues with him. He is going to need a lot of development, but that's perfectly fine given the fact that we have Diggs ready to go, locked in at that starter spot. His recognition on receiver routes can be a little low sometimes, so this is something that's going to have to come with experience and coaching. He's going to need to be able to pick those things up a little bit better. His ball skills are a little bit weak. He had 3 interceptions in 2021, none in 2020, and 2 in 2019, so 5 across 3 years, which is not great for a free safety, and only 10 passes defensed. You'd like to see a little bit more. So his ball production is a little bit low, but Nick Cross is a guy who I would consider taking, grooming to maybe take over for Diggs in a couple years if he slips into that 4th round range. Okay. Next up, we have Varon Mckinley III, another local product. Well, somewhat local, Oregon. Little smaller, 5'11", 194 pounds, 4.6740, although I couldn't find a combine time. I think this was from like an Oregon practice. It's not the most reliable number at this point. Had 3 pretty productive years at Oregon. His best year by far was 2021. 77 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 6 interceptions, 6 passes defensed, 1 forced fumble. So turned into a real ball hawk. Started really making those tackles. The draft big boards are a little all over the place, but ESPN, Walter Football, and CBS all have him in the 4th, maybe early 3rd, but mostly the 4th. Draft Network has him all the way back in the 6th. I think you are looking at a 4th round pick for McKinley. Good athlete. He's a versatile player. He lined up in several different roles in the Ducks defense. He's got good coverage skills. He's a solid tackler. His ball skills, which he put on display in 2021, are really, really good. He's got a high football IQ in terms of reading routes and knowing where he should be. He should do well as a deep safety, as that last line of defense type of safety. Now, McKinley, because he is smaller, even though he's a good tackler, he can get run over by bigger running backs. And I don't know about man coverage. Man coverage may be kind of hard for him to hold up in, but when it comes to playing in zone and reading routes and knowing where he's supposed to be, he's very good at that. So if you compare him to what we previously had at this position, it makes sense that he would fit in. Okay, next we have Kirby Joseph of Illinois, 6'1", 200 pounds, 4.540, but unofficial. He missed 2020. I think he actually was playing receiver for Illinois in 2020. His best season was 2021, where he had 57 tackles and 5 interceptions, so very good season. He turned into a ball hawk, 5 picks. And Tankathon, Walter Football and PFF and CBS all actually think he could go in day 2. The Draft Network and also Walter Football, actually, because they use a round range, think that he's going more in day 3. So this is another guy who might be out of our reach, but if he falls into like that 4th or 5th round, I would consider it. He had a great 2021. His ball skills are fantastic. He's a good athlete in terms of change of direction and agility. He's good at covering deep zones, somebody who can absolutely be your last line of defense and reliably take away the deep throw to receivers running vertical routes. He's a good reader of route combinations from in the backfield, so he's going to pick up on what's going on and know where to be. But he only really had the one big year at Illinois. He's relatively inexperienced, and what he did in 2021 might be somewhat unsustainable looking at his previous ball production. All right, Bubba Bolden is next up. Miami Hurricane, 6'3", bigger dude, very much. 6'3", very tall for a free safety. 204 pounds, ran a sub 4.540, very impressive. Had 2 pretty good seasons at college football. 72 tackles, 42 tackles, had 10 tackles for loss across 2 years, 2 sacks, only 1 interception, but 4 forced fumbles in 2020. That's got to mean something. Mostly he's considered to be a 5th to 6th round pick, I think, maybe even the 7th. So he's a guy who might not even get drafted. So you're looking at a later round expenditure on him. He's big, he's a solid athlete, he's experienced doing single high cover 3, the kind of stuff that Quandre Diggs does a lot. He had a lot of experience doing it at Miami. You can also bring him up to the line of scrimmage and have him cover tight ends in man defense. Despite his lack of ball production, he does have what are considered to be pretty good ball skills. I don't think that these numbers totally do that justice. He gives good effort in coming up to help against the run, and he's got a good football IQ in coverage. Now, he does occasionally get caught staring into the backfield and giving up stuff over the top just because he was keeping an eye on something that was none of his business, and he let what was his business get behind him. Going to have to pick up some more discipline there. While he gives good effort as a tackler, he's not a good tackler. He's going to have to improve there. He takes bad angles sometimes. These are things that will probably come with experience, but as of right now, he's a leaky tackler and does give up stuff in run defense. Nick Grant is the next guy I want to take a look at here. Virginia, 6 feet tall, flat, 190 pounds, smaller and slower. 4.7240. 3 fairly productive seasons. 51 tackles, tackle and a half for loss, 1 pick. 31 tackles, 2 interceptions, 3 passes defensed. 2021, 48 tackles, 9 passes defensed. Nothing too remarkable, right? Like, you're looking at these numbers. You're obviously not blown away by anything, but reasonably productive. Walter Football really likes him. They think he could go in the 4th, but Draft Network has him going undrafted. I don't see this guy being anything more than a 6th-round pick. He is very good at understanding how to read assignments and how to fill his responsibility. Very good at reading where the play is going to go. He does have some zone cornerback ability. He did some of that at Virginia. He is smart in coverage, I think. His ball skills are pretty solid. He made a decent chunk of plays on the ball at Virginia, like 20 PDs over 3 years. And he always plays hard, always giving good effort. He does miss tackles, though. I don't think he's a very good tackler. And even though I do think he's smart in coverage and understands how to read an offense, he does make occasional mistakes and get put on tape in a bad way. Last guy is somebody who I talked about briefly many months ago on this channel. It's Isaiah Po Mao from USC. And this is a guy who's gotten some attention lately, some positive attention. And given some of the extracurricular stuff going on with him, it actually makes a lot of sense to me that we would target him at some point in this draft. 6'4", very, very tall, 205 pounds, 4.5640. So despite being tall, he's also fast. 3 productive years at college, 73 tackles, 5.5 for loss, sack and a half, 4 interceptions. So 2019 was probably his best year overall, but he's played fairly well since then. The draft boards, ESPN has him undrafted, but Walter Football, CBS, and the Draft Network all kind of have him in the 4th or 5th, maybe 6th. So I think you are probably looking at something around the 5th round. And I would absolutely spend a 5th round on Isaiah Po Mao. Yeah, I like him. I'm intrigued by him. He's very long. He's got crazy good length. He's a good athlete despite that. It's not like he's super slow or lumbering because of his size. He's versatile enough to even come up and play some nickel cornerback and do man defense while doing it. Like, he can come up, be your nickel corner, and guard or tight end man on man. Like, versatile player. He does have some ball production from 2019. He made a lot of plays on the ball, 4 interceptions. He's good at covering a lot of distance on the back end, which is something that we probably need a free safety in this defense to do. And he's a good tackler. He's a plus tackler. However, since 2019, he really hasn't had a lot of ball production. 1 interception. I know he had the COVID shortened year, but still, no interceptions in 2021 and only 1 pass defensed. Makes you wonder if maybe 2019 was a little bit of an aberration. And he has gotten hurt a few times in his career, which has slowed his growth a little bit. But Isaiah Po Mao would be very interesting to me in the 5th round or so if he's still available. And that's it for the free safeties. Those are the guys that I evaluate as being of interest to the Seahawks if we decide to draft a backup free safety / free safety after Diggs is gone. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you like the best. And tomorrow we will be moving on to wide receiver, which has become a somewhat interesting position. Even more interesting than I thought, because the team seems to have some interest in the late round receivers. So see you guys then. Might make another video later today, but either way, see y'all later, and go Hawks.